Good morning, it's Dr. Rick Carter McClure here for another episode of 7-Minute Therapy for the male on the go and the women who love them. So, today we're going to talk about something again that's controversial and that comes up a lot in modern therapy. And this isn't about deciding for you what you should do or shouldn't do. That's not my place. But I think it's worth exploring, and I've had the privilege of being able to do that with a number of people. So let's talk about polyamory or non-monogamous relationships. And as many of you are aware, the divorce rate is very high. They roughly say 50 to 60% when you read most articles. And it seems that modern couples do not need to stay married, as more women, obviously many women, maybe most, I'm not sure, have gone into the workforce and they are not relying on men for their financial freedom. So that's one of the reasons. And also I think society has moved towards changes in roles, changes in identities, people that have multiple genders, sexual orientations. So there's a lot of free flow in this society, and people that aren't necessarily interested in traditional marriages are finding different ways to see what types of relationships work for them. And if you're not aware of this, and I know most younger men are, there's a lot of relationships that are attempting polyamorous type relationships, whereby you may have a main relationship and then each partner sees other people on the side, and the rules are based on what each of those two main people decide. So how does that work? Well, it varies. Like most of the clients I work with over the years have run into difficulties at some point, and as you would imagine, in theory, a lot of things sound wonderful and ideal, but you know those nasty human emotions like jealousy and pettiness and things that you don't anticipate as relationships unfold eventually come into play. So it is really challenging to have any relationship, let alone multiple relationships within a relationship. So when we're talking about monogamy in modern times, we are looking at, well, even the institution of marriage. One would explore or wonder, what is the reason for marriage in modern times? Because way back in the day, like 1800s, 1900s, whatever, people got married to build like a family and a unit in order to survive. And I think it was more solid in the sense that you didn't necessarily only commit for love, you committed to raise kids, you stayed together because that's just what people did. And I believe that, based on what I've read, that a lot of men cheated back then too. And of course, if you look back in the 1950s, men cheated, and men have always cheated. The only difference is maybe people looked the other way more so years ago, and it was more accepted. And in modern times, society still, again, and this is just talking with clients through the years and just throwing things in the air and talking about them openly, society wants to believe that monogamy is going to be very easy. And sometimes, I question whether, are men still biologically wired to spread their seed in a number of places? And are women becoming, as they become more like men, are they doing the same thing where they're having multiple partners? There's more infidelity amongst women now. I don't think it's the same as men by any means. But so I know that oftentimes society or culture or religion or something, they want to live in an ideal world where it should be this way. And, of course, that would be lovely if it was. But how many men truly want to be monogamous? And how many men in their 20s in particular, where their hormones are racing and they get married at a young age? And I've seen this all the time, or in relationships, they're in their early 20s and they're supposed to be with this woman for the next 60 years. they have such a hard time keeping it in their pants. And I'm not telling you ladies anything that you don't already know. And guys, I'm not telling you anything that you don't already know. So some of the questions I would have for you is, when you're getting married or committing, and this is to the men, and I guess women too, are you ready for that type of commitment? And there's so many benefits, obviously, of monogamy and not cheating on one another, because cheating and lying can never be rationalized as the right thing to do. So are you sincerely ready, and have you really thought about what type of commitment that is to be married to someone or in a relationship with someone, and knowing that you're not going to have sex with other people? And of course, you're going to find many other people attractive. But can you do that? And are you willing to do that? Or are you flippantly agreeing to marriage because it's the thing to do? Your friends are getting married and your parents got married, and you're not really giving it a lot of thought. And I think a lot of young people don't. And because divorce rate is so high and common nowadays, I think people believe that, well, I can just get out of this if it doesn't work out, which has led to so many marriages crumbling at the first signs of trouble. So anyone who is in a longer term relationship, 15, 20 years, will say you go through a lot of hell in blips over time. And modern couples just hit bumps in the road and immediately they are 1 foot out. And a lot of times, I think, from what I've seen again, is that men have a foot out from the beginning at times. I just don't know that they fully grasp what it means to give up being single and not being able to have sex with someone else. That is very challenging. It's highly challenging if we're willing to admit that. And for women too, of course, like in modern times, there's, flirting with different dating apps, Facebook, Instagram. The temptations are so high that I think anyone entering a relationship, and especially when younger, you really want to talk openly with the person you're going to date or marry about what the challenges will be as a man, as a woman, or however you identify. And also ask yourself, if you're wanting to go into a polyamorous relationship, why is that? And what do you anticipate the benefits of doing so are? And have you really openly discussed the potential minefields that you may encounter along the way? And if you really are wanting to be in a committed relationship and just want a polyamorous relationship, is it really because you just honestly don't want to commit to one person and you want to be able to have sex with multiple partners? So just get truthful with yourself, guys, about what you want out of life, because you really, as the old saying goes, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Nothing of value comes easily, and you can't really be single and married. They don't go together at all. Like they don't intersect. You can't be both. So this isn't, a message or a video session about what I think you should or shouldn't do, because that's really none of my business. I'm just saying that in therapy, this is one of the bigger topics in modern times. And I would just suggest that people really explore your underlying motivations, what that means, and not flippantly enter into a serious contract or serious relationship, especially you guys with a woman who really does want to have a committed monogamous relationship and wants to have children. You don't want to take that lightly. It's just not fair to her. Okay, so that's all I have on that topic today. Bye.